Hello, and thank you for joining me for today's Spirit Share, where we talk about all things spirit. This is Beth Coughlin, and it is my hope that this channel acts as a lighthouse, sharing spirit's light of healing. Hello, and thank you for joining me for today's Spirit Share, a message in a rose from Michael. You guessed it, my mentor in spirit now, Michael J Tamura. So today's adventure with Michael started off at my radiation appointment. Currently, I'm in radiation treatment for breast cancer recurrence. This treatment is done every day except Saturday and Sunday for 6 weeks. I am now in week 5. Yay, I am almost done. While I sat in this very tiny waiting room, it's right next to the actual radiation room. It's actually exclusively for the patients, and you can bring one friend or a family member in the room. A patient came into the room, and she was all excited, and she was waving around a rose, and she said, "Hey, someone is donating roses to all of the patients today. Isn't that just so nice?" And I was like, wow, that is really nice. And my heart was really touched that someone did this and was so generous. And then suddenly in that moment, I became aware of my teacher, Michael. Michael was known for the rose. And the reason that Michael was known for the rose was because he used the rose as an energy tool to let go of energy. He used the rose as like a representative of that. And so when she was talking about the rose and the generosity of this woman and someone bringing everyone a rose, it took my breath away because I was like, oh my God. And then immediately I became aware of Michael and I started to choke up. And of course, next thing you know, it's my turn. So I go into the room and the radiation room, and right away, I'm just hit with all of this energy, and it was just all this joyous energy, and I knew right away, this is Michael. And it was really interesting because normally when I go in the room, it's kind of dreary, and you can barely hear the music. There's always some kind of elevator music or going on in the background, and this time it was like this joyous energy, and I was super aware with no doubt, total certainty that Michael was there. And it was like every corner of the room had this energy, and the music was super loud, and it was playing Elton John's song, Your Song. And I started filling up, and I was trying not to cry, and they put you up on this table when you get radiation that's quite high up, so you kind of got to get yourself up. And then I had to put my hands behind my back, and I'm still trying not to cry. And so that they leave the room, and then the treatment begins, and the song is playing, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I suddenly realized that in the song, I don't know if you're familiar with the song Your Song by Elton John, but there's a phrase, how wonderful life is while you're in the world. And what's significant about that is a few years prior, I had Michael sign his book, and he wrote like a little message in there to me. And one of the phrases in the book, or what he signed in his book, was, I'm happy to see you in this world. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm trying not to cry, but that's not working. There's like a lake now on my face. I'm like, ah. And now I'm getting all worried because I'm like, these ladies are going to come in and I'm going to be all crying, and they're going to be like, what are we doing? Why is she crying? So then I'm like, oh my gosh, Michael's tool, of course, right? So I just, basically laughed, which is another one of the things Michael always was doing, was laughing, and saw the humor in the whole thing. And then as he taught us, I imagined a rose, and I just let go of all of this worry that I had going on and watched it go into the rose and blew it up, and got a good laugh out of all of that. And then, it takes about 10 minutes for the treatment. The treatment was done, and I wasn't even sure. It was really quiet when they came in the room, and I think obviously they could tell I had been crying, so they were kind of tiptoeing around. And then I wasn't even sure about this rose business, if I was getting a rose or whatnot. And I was almost walking out of the door, and one of the nurses grabbed this big bucket of roses and said, "Hey, one of the patients dropped this off today and wants everyone to have take a rose if they want to. No pressure. She also put a card in there for you." And of course, I was like, "Wow, that's so generous. That was so kind of her. Wow, a patient. This woman's amazing soul." And then I got really excited about, what the heck does this card say, right? So I go into the dressing room, and I open up the card, and it says, "Take every chance, drop every fear." And I'm like, oh my God, how appropriate. I mean, Michael was always talking about fear and resistance, and how all resistance has fear in it. And one of the things that he uses the phrase is to drop it, and that's letting things be as they are. It's like acceptance, like allowing the energy just to be there and let it to be as it is. And so just to see that, I was like, oh my God, it was like Michael put this message in here to take every chance and drop every fear, which is so him, talking about being, senior to your energy, senior to fear. And what was really interesting about that was looking at my experience was, geez, I got so emotional, it was such a healing that he gave me. And why was I so that emotional? And I recognized that I was releasing a lot of held up resistance. Most resistance, if not all resistance, is unconscious. And I had this unconscious fear while I was in there that I really hadn't tapped into, and I was holding on to around this experience. And this whole moment that I had in this room was really a healing from Michael to help me let go of some of this resistance and fear that I was still holding on to. And it was so healing. I can't tell you how great I felt when I left today, and I was like dancing my way out of the place, and I was like, thank you, Michael. And the medicine for fear, Michael teaches too, is to be kind to ourselves. When we're in fear and doubt, is to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. And in those times when I'm in there and I'm trying to be all tough, to give myself the grace and the space to be kind and compassionate to what I'm experiencing. And that was the great reminder from my friend, my mentor, Michael J Tamura today, and I'm super grateful. And I know that this message is also for all of you as a reminder that when we're in fear and when we're in doubt, to give kindness and compassion to yourself. And I thought it would be really fun, too, to end this adventure today with a 2 or 3 minute talk about how to use the rose tool given by Michael Tamura himself. And this comes from actually his website. If you go to his website, and there's a tab on there called Free Stuff, and then you look down, you can see on that page a spiritual toolkit, and you can download it. And it's a couple hours long of a lecture that he gives on spiritual toolkits, and one of them obviously is this rose tool. So I thought that I would share that today. And here we go. Here's Michael sharing the rose. Thank you all for listening to my adventure, and here's Michael.
that what you're looking at right now and what you've been being affected by for a while is just an image that was in your mind and you weren't aware of it. So whatever it is you see, whatever it is you're feeling, let it all be, give it lots of space, and just be neutral to it. Disengage, neither holding on to it or pushing away from it. Let go of any energy within you wanting to go away from it, or fight it, or denying it, or fixing it, or solve it, or figure it out, or hold on to it for any reason whatsoever. Just imagine this picture floating into the rose in front of you. Let the picture and all the energies, all the thoughts, all the feelings, everything in this picture and related to this picture, let it go into the rose, just securely into the middle of the rose. Just sit back and imagine that image sitting inside the rose, tucked in there, and just decide that you're willing to let go of all of it, the image and all the pictures and all the energies involved in this image, all the thoughts, all the beliefs, anything in this picture. Just let it be in that rose and everything that goes with it, and just sit back, smile, be neutral to it, have a little amusement, and have compassion for yourself. That when you are being affected by a picture, to varying degrees, it's suffering. Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's a lot. So have compassion that you've been suffering to a certain extent in relationship to carrying this picture around and having your energy invested in it. Now, are you willing to let yourself be free of that? Is it okay to let it all go? Is it okay not to try to fix it, not to try to heal it, not to try to change it in any way or solve it? It's just a picture. Now, take the rose with the picture in it, all the energy in it, and go boom, and explode it. Imagine it just completely disintegrating, exploding like fireworks. And as you do so, release, imagine releasing all that energy out. Let any of your energy neutralize in that explosion, return to your crown chakra, but everybody else's and anything else, just it all goes.
For more information about my work and what I have to offer, please visit my website, elizabethcoughlin.com, where you can subscribe to my Facebook and YouTube channels and stay in touch for more spirit shares. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.